Joe Severino should call us at 9:10. If we don't hear from him by 9:15, I think I gave you a backup number, but I think he'll call. Thank you.
Save 11% on all grass seed, including Scott's Thicker Lawn. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through June 12th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
The Pittsburgh Zoo and PPG Aquarium has reopened its gates. Reconnect with the roar, reconnect with the rumble, reconnect with the wild. With new safety procedures in place, we invite you to reconnect with wildlife once again at the zoo. Visit pittsburghzoo.org for information about ticketing and our modified operations. See you at the zoo.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help. Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes.
Okie dokie, thank you.
2000 614-362-2000.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week, mostly cloudy skies, the chance for a shower and a storm, a daytime high near 86 degrees. Overnight low of 68 degrees under mostly cloudy skies and scattered showers and storms. Scattered showers and storms likely again for your Tuesday, otherwise mostly cloudy. A daytime high near 86. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Ooh, it's starting.
It is Monday.
Thank God it's Monday again.
Monday. Thank God.
TGIM.
Let's celebrate, shall we?
That is weird. Is that weird? To me, that is a weird idea.
Instead of doing TGIF, I'm going to do TGIM. Thank God it's Monday.
Your positivity is infectious.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do it.
Okay, showtime.
Informing and entertaining the Valley for over 25 years. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe in the 100 Days of Summer.
Well, it's that muggy, rainy kind of summery day today and that kind of week this week. 74 degrees right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, about 72 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. Kind of a mixture outside. I guess I'd call it overcast, but the sun trying to make its way through. Going to be a very muggy day today. Pop-up showers, pop-up thunderstorms, temperatures up to around 85, and then going to be rainy much of the week as well. So be prepared for that. The wonderful time that we had over the weekend is kind of fading away. Coming up today, 10:06 statewide talk line. Hoppy Kirchville will be talking to Senator Manchin, which is going to be interesting. Senator Manchin was very adamant again this weekend about opposing the For the People Act, one of the key Biden/Democrat priorities on Capitol Hill, and Senator Manchin, and with Manchin's refusal to support that, it may well mean that act doesn't see the light of day. And of course, the senator continues to hold off on supporting, continues to hold to opposing the filibuster. He does not believe in eliminating the filibuster. I've talked about this a lot. I am philosophically with Senator Manchin on this. I think that the filibuster protects the minority, and we have to keep in mind, if you're a Democrat, you may well be in the minority in the not too distant future. So I get the idea of wanting to preserve it. I'm with the senator on that. But I also say this, you can't compromise. The only way you can compromise is when you and the other side see the same problem and then have different potential solutions to the problem so you can negotiate the solutions. When you have what seems to be on Capitol Hill right now, the other side of the Democrats, the Republicans, the problem they see is simply they don't want Democrats to succeed. Well, you can't negotiate a solution around that. I think I wish Senator Manchin would wise up to that, because again, I'm with him philosophically, but I think it's just a little bit off base. Anyways, so coming up today on Statewide Talk Line, Hoppy is going to be on with Hoppy. Senator Manchin is going to be on to talk about those key issues. Brad is going to be on to talk about a big dust-up in the Democratic Party over the weekend in West Virginia. And I'm going to join Hoppy today to talk about the fact that I did it for Baby Dog this weekend. Yes, indeed. So I will join Hoppy to talk about I did it for Baby Dog. And if you did it for Baby Dog, good for you. If you didn't, you can do it sometime soon. Hoppy has a poll up, Metro News flash poll. Will you do it for Baby Dog? 64% right now say yes. 36% say no. Article I read this weekend in the Gazette-Mail, really interesting piece. It really caught my attention. Headline, Justice, the Road Governor Works in the Shadows. It really has to do with what's Governor Justice do all day? I mean, we know he's there for his press conferences. We see that. And then what's he do all day? Legislators I talk to say they don't see him around very often. It's kind of a mystery. Where is he? What's he do? Joe Severino from the Gazette-Mail thought he'd do a little looking into that, and I invited him to join us to talk about what he found. Joe, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
So, I guess I'll ask you, what'd you find? I mean, where is the governor?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think a lot of people want to know that. So we went out looking for him, to go find what he was doing when he's not at the briefings. I think you're seeing a lot of a repeat of, what triggered the residency lawsuit in the first place a couple of years ago. The governor, a lot of, besides these briefing days, I mean, that's really the only place we know where he is, because that's announced. We know he'll be coming to Charleston. We'll know he'll be coming from Lewisburg on these mornings. He'll be late to the briefing, and then you'll know he'll leave right after. But after that, I mean, it's anyone's best guess. His press office notoriously doesn't respond to requests, especially from our newspaper. There's no love lost there, obviously. I know Phil Cavler's a guest on here, so. But that's the thing. We don't know what he does in his spare time, and his office's refusal to fill public records, disclosing his schedule, calendars, who he's meeting with, his phone records. I mean, that was all denied. So really, it's, let's talk about
that, Joe. Let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a fairly standard investigative technique. If you want to know where the governor is, let's take a look at his calendar. Let's take a look at his phone logs. Those, as a general rule, with some exceptions, are public records. So you should be able to look at them, or at least FOIA them, and get that information. So you did that, but you got nothing back. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I hadn't seen a FOIA denial like that. It was very odd. And then the one about the calendar is especially troubling. The fact that his office says it doesn't keep an accurate log of a schedule. It's not corrected. I mean, and then them saying that if you'd like to know what he's doing, if you want to confirm a specific appointment, we could do that. But that's where this educated guess comes in. It's like, well, I know Governor Justice probably is meeting somebody here at the Greenbrier or something, but I don't. Am I supposed to, confirm that, in a FOIA? I mean, where does it stop here? Some of the weirdest FOIA, public records denials I've ever seen.
So they wouldn't give you a calendar because they basically say, we really don't keep an accurate calendar. I think I'm interpreting that correctly. They wouldn't give you phone logs, so you can't sort of track down who he's even talking to, get a sense of where he is or what he's doing from phone logs. So what'd you do? How did you get a sense of where he is?
Well, I went to Lewisburg. I went to find him to see where he was, on a couple days. Like I said in the article, his presence is marked by his black SUV. Doesn't leave his side. So I've seen it in Lewisburg a few times, so he's there. You see it at the Capitol when you know he's there, and you see it at the governor's mansion, it's there. Or in this case, if you see it in the Wendy's drive-thru, that's where he is. So it's a lot of some old school, I think, when you're blocked like that, public records doing it kind of the right way, you kind of, as a reporter, you kind of have to get a little creative. So I think that's what we at the Gazette are doing here, just getting a little creative about trying to find him. And like I said, it really is an educated guess to know where he is. It's like, well, I think I know what he's going to be today. And that's where you're going to go find him. Sometimes it doesn't work.
People think he lives at the Greenbrier. He actually doesn't live at the Greenbrier. He lives in Lewisburg, in a house in Lewisburg. But does he still travel back and forth on a frequent basis? I mean, is he? We did have that big lawsuit about the governor's residency, and I think it was settled with the belief that he was going to be staying in the governor's mansion. But is he still traveling back and forth?
That's what it appears. His office, in response to this story, said the governor resides at the governor's mansion, Charleston. Any insinuation otherwise is preposterous, but we know that to be true, or we know that to be false based on the facts. It's not the whole truth. He has been spending some nights in Lewisburg. We have a reporter on campus at the Capitol every day. We hardly ever see his black SUV when he goes home for work. He, like you said, he lives in downtown Lewisburg. He's not all the way out in White Sulphur Springs. So, I mean, he and that state trooper, they probably made that trip. If you talk about, they held 3 COVID briefings a week. Sometimes it was 5, but, when it was 5 days a week, he was driving here every morning, going home every day. And so that was, a lot of what we did in a previous report is just kind of add up how much time this man has just kind of spent on the road during a pandemic where, you were only feet away from the governor's mansion being, where your briefing room is. So that was kind of the trouble we've had throughout the pandemic. But we know as it starts to wind down here and he's less and less in Charleston, we're getting back into that territory. And, he should be living in Charleston. But living is like a relative term, so that's how he kind of gets by here.
When Joe Manchin was governor, it was hard at the Capitol not to see Manchin. I mean, he was ever present at the Capitol, especially during the session. If he wasn't in his office, he was stalking the hallways. He was dropping in to see individual legislators. I mean, his presence, and I was there at the time. His presence was all over the place. I hear from the legislators today that they sometimes never see him, or almost never see him. It's it's almost like sighting of the abominable snowman or something. Oh, I think I saw Justice this week. I mean, he's not even present at the Capitol, right?
Yeah, and one lawmaker quoted in here, Speaker Hanshaw, and he kind of says as much. He said, the governor makes himself available when I ask him to, but, if this session, it was almost exclusively limited to the personal income tax repeal plan that Justice had. Hanshaw said, Justice is a very big ideas guy, but when it comes down to the grit work, that's me and his staff. So that's, that was a point I made in this article as well, is when it is, during the peak of this session, we don't know how much time Justice spent with lawmakers, because of their refusal to provide those records, because of their refusal to provide travel logs. We don't really know where he was for most of the session. And so some lawmakers on the record will say that, he's there. But like you said, if they talk privately, they'll tell you, he's never around.
As I understand it, it's not even easy to know whom he met with. I mean, every once in a while someone will say, I met with the governor, I guess. But even who his meetings are, what individuals he's meeting with are a little bit difficult to track down.
Yeah, I would say maybe the most concerning part about this FOIA denial and all of them is them saying that, his meetings with outside work people, with business leaders, are, somewhat protected by whatever. I mean, that's the case. This is the First Energy deal. If we had known, if Justice was meeting with First Energy people before this kind of sweetheart bill goes through, that would look at, we would make calls for corruption, maybe, but right. How can we do that now? We don't know. A government agencies talks with outside, operators. Those are not protected by any public records exemptions.
There's no exemption for meeting. Yeah. Yeah. And in recent weeks, Joe, in recent weeks, I think another question arises. We have been learning significantly about the governor's financial problems, the amount of money he's on the hook for, the defaults that he has against him, the huge amount of debt that has been accumulated. And I mean, you have to ask the question, how much time, and I know he says that his sons or his kids run I think it's his son and his daughter run the different divisions of his enterprises. But I mean, I think it's fair to ask the question, how much of his gubernatorial time is he putting into dealing with his own personal financial problems?
Yeah, I mean, we know in the very early part of this term that Governor Justice personally guaranteed those loans to Greensill and the capital firm in England, and we, I mean, that was something, we were told that things were put in a blind trust, but whether that's true or not, we'll probably never know. It doesn't appear to be, but yeah, Phil Cablow laid it out in his column this weekend. Everything Justice does for the rest of his term and the rest of his time here is going to be that question: is what's the motivation here? Is this for to pay off debts? Is this to boost coal business? I mean, that Phil laid it out very clearly. I mean, that is the case for Governor Justice. That is $1 billion in debt is nothing to sweat at. I mean, nothing to thumb your nose up at.
And the governor's response in the last week or two has been, "Don't y'all worry about that. Why, everything's under control. My family will deal with it." And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's got a stronger constitution than I do. But if I had that kind of debt hanging over my head, especially personal debt, I'd be, if not the physical time I spent, my mental time would always be concerned about that. Now, I have no way of knowing it. You don't. Phil doesn't. Nobody knows how much time the governor is actually spending on his personal situation. And maybe the answer is not much. I mean, but the problem is, it raises the question. When he declines to tell us what he's doing, or staff declines to tell us what he's doing, it raises the question, then is he devoting time to personal business when he should be a governor? I think somebody, might have been Spunoggle, maybe you were quoting, somebody in your article, used the phrase part-time governor. I know Isaac's been on the show before, and I think he's
Spunoggle,
yeah. But you have to wonder, do you have a full-time governor or a part-time governor? I don't have the answer, but I think it's a fair question. Hey, I got to ask you that before I let you go. So does he really go to the fast food places that often?
Oh yeah, especially over here. You probably catch him in the Wendy's and McDonald's over here on the East End. He frequents, and then there's that legendary Forbes article about it being the deadbeat billionaire who talk about him frequenting the stops along the Capitol. I never, followed him from here, Charleston, Lewisburg. Him and the trooper, they get going, driving pretty quick. So I can't tell you where they've been stopping along the way. But, over here on the East End, after the briefing, you can just stand on the Capitol grounds and watch them, drive through the Wendy's. Or, like I said, I saw him drive through the Wendy's and decide against that one, circle back to the McDonald's. And then they got on the interstate and took off back to Lewisburg. So, like I said, I mean, right what you were saying earlier, I think this whole, through Justice's administration, we've just kind of begged him to just be a little bit more transparent, him and his office. If you could just be a little more transparent, some of these problems, they wouldn't be so self-created. And, this just continues to happen because Justice, whether it's because he has good skin, doesn't want to be written about, there's a whole host of reasons with him.
He has been a good tap dancer over his term in office, and he's a kind of, he has that folksy style about him, so sometimes he can deflect criticism. But what really, really concerns me from your article is that they just an absolute refusal, basically, to give you any information about what he does during the day. I mean, I don't know any executive, a little small company that doesn't keep a log. Maybe it's not 100% accurate. Maybe they said they were going to go to, one place and they end up going to someplace different. But I don't know anybody that doesn't keep a log of where they go and what they do, especially at the gubernatorial level. And yet they refuse to give it to you.
Absolutely, but we won't quit. Right? I'm sure. We'll be more creative and we'll find a way to get it. There is precedent in this case. The Gazette even specifically has sought these kind of records before, but denied. had to go through the court system to get those. Whether we have to do the same thing here, I'm not sure. But like I said, we just have to be creative and kind of have to fill in the schedule as we go, because the Justice Administration showing they're willingly not going to do so. I mean, like the whole residency thing, it's going to take him a court order to reside somewhere.
And we're not sure that he really follows that court order. We're not sure he doesn't, but we really aren't sure that he does, because we don't really know where he is.
Like I said, he could have proved it. Just by giving us the water bill alone, they could have told us. They could have showed when somebody, there was 2 more humans living in there when there wasn't for so many years.
But nothing. Joe, good story. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm glad you agreed to join me this morning, because I really wanted to talk about this. Justice the Road Governor works in the shadows from his big black SUV. And if we do get every day, we do get a take on what time he shows up, because Kapler tells us that on his Twitter page. But, good stuff. I appreciate the work you did, and I thank you for joining me this morning. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. Joe Severinos, the Gazette Daily Mail, and good piece. It's really scary, Biffy. I mean, they asked for the governor's travel schedule. I mean, every executive. Heck, if you ask me for mine, I don't follow it, but I have a little, calendar book that I keep my schedule in. It's governor. They said, no, he doesn't really do that. Governor of the state, billionaire, one-time billionaire, executive, and he doesn't keep an accurate calendar of where he is and what he's doing.
Even if he doesn't anyone in that administration keep at least something of where he is and what's going on?
Yeah, really good point. Look, I wouldn't necessarily expect Jim Justice himself to sit there with a book every day and go, okay, now I'm going to lunch with Bill Ehlenfeld. No, I'm not expecting that. But somebody in his office ought to be keeping track of this. That's the norm.
They don't go, okay, 500th news conference today at 10:30 or whatever, lunch after.
Yeah.
And then whatever he does after lunch. There's nothing? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, they can't. They just can't. They can't provide that for him for the newspaper. Now, look, they don't like the Gazette Mail to a large extent because of Kapler, but the newspaper has been very aggressive in questioning things the governor does, and these are legitimate questions, and they have become much more legitimate in the last couple of weeks, Biff, because we now know of the governor's serious financial problems.
Yeah,
and it's certainly fair to ask, how much of his time is he devoting to, quote, running the state, and how much of his time is he devoting to trying to get himself out of a financial mess? And the subsidiary question to that is, how much of what he does or proposes for the state is designed to help him out of his financial situation? And I'm not making the accusation. I'm not saying he does anything. I'm saying that because we don't have any facts, it's a fair question.
Well, what else are we supposed to assume?
Exactly. Absent accurate information, we have to maybe assume the worst. And it's just amazing. We don't know who he meets with. We don't know where he is. He doesn't keep a travel schedule. We don't know who he calls because they ask for his phone logs. No, we're not going to give those to you. I don't know what kind of legal action they can take to force those. A FOIA request is normally, and they just, you heard Joe say, he's never seen a rejection of a FOIA request as bizarre as the one they sent him on these things. And you talk to legislators. I talk to a lot of them. Have you seen the governor? No, we don't see him very often. Again, I draw the distinction with Joe Manchin. When Manchin was governor, it was hard not to see him. He was there at the Cap during a session. At least he was there all the time.
I bet there are legislatures down there that could count on one hand the number of times they've probably seen the governor.
Oh, I would guess other than leadership, and maybe only Republican leadership, but I'll say leadership maybe of both parties. Other than leadership, I would bet the vast majority of legislators have only seen him once or twice. In a by that I mean they may have seen him in a press conference, or may have seen him, but at the State of the State speech. But in terms of seeing him, on the floor, just walking the Capitol, coming up to see him, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Remember when we broadcast from the Capitol during his first term, and that was when he was actually coming on my show. Doesn't do that anymore, but he was on my show several times. I was in the Capitol, broadcasting from the Capitol, up on the second floor. His office was down on the first floor. And we scheduled an interview, and I'm expecting to see the governor lumbering down the hallway. No, the governor's on the phone line. I could lean over the balcony. Hello, governor. I mean, I could lean over the balcony if he's in his office. But I was in the Capitol, and we did phone interviews.
I remember you would always make that point. Like, you could literally see from where you were his office.
There it is, right there. There's the office. We could use the tin can communication. I'll throw a tin can down with a string on it. Now, I don't know that it was in his office. I have no way. Actually, now that I think about it, I know at least one of those interviews where I thought he was in his car. Probably on his way to Wendy's, I guess, or something. I don't know. I don't mean to always be so critical of the governor. I think he's done some good things, and I think he's handled the pandemic fairly well. And we get, make a little fun of the baby dog thing, but I did it for baby dog this weekend. But he just thinks he can go about his business and doesn't have to respond to anybody, and that's just not right. He's an elected official, and we, the public, have a right to know about what he's doing. And legislators have a right to see him occasionally and be able to ask him questions and so on. And quite frankly, the media, too. Even when he has his press conferences, he puts the media in another room someplace. Just not a good way to do business. Anyways, thanks to Joe Severino. You can read the piece in the Charleston Gazette-Mail. I think it was a Friday article. Good piece. What was it called? Justice the Road Governor works in the shadows. Goes to Wendy's and the line is too long. I love that.
Welcome to our world.
Hey, how long's that line going to be? I can't wait for my burger. How about over there to McDonald's? Their line's not so long. Let's go over there. Gee, Christmas. God help us. 9:36, 24 till the hour. It's the Watchdog Morning Show. Head into the home stretch.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West.
I can do one more break if you need me to before Bob gets on. Okay. I'll be back in a minute, Biffy. I'm back. Thank you.
They have over 450 tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or you can give them a call at 724-948-3571 for more information. That's 724-948-3571 for more information. It's the Washington County Gun Show, presented by ARH Sports Shop, June 19th and 20th.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Most of us are faced with uncertainty every day. Your job, your finances, sporting events, schooling for your children, and so much more. With so much uncertainty surrounding you, there is one auto dealership that you can be certain about, and that's Doan Ford. You can be certain that you always get a great deal and the best service afterwards. Being in business for over 50 years has given Doan Ford the reputation of being a strong, reliable dealership. Be certain. Choose Doan Ford. Online at DoanFord.com.
I'm not buying till I check Doan Ford.
Rayland, the watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Rayland trusts the watchdog.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley, the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
74 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 72, gone up, 74 degrees here at my home studio in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 74 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Boy, a lot of stuff I did not get to today. Biffy, I had this whole show planned out perfectly. It was going to be boom, boom, bang, bang, ding, ding, ding. I knew exactly what to do and when, and by 7:30 I was off. I was already off base. I just can't keep to my own schedule. But a lot of the stuff I did not get to will be part of Statewide Talk Line coming up after 10 o'clock. Brad is going to join Hoppy to talk about the this big dust-up at the West Virginia Democratic Party over the weekend. They had a meeting on affirmative action. They were supposed to develop an affirmative action plan. And they had an affirmative action committee created featuring members of the minority caucuses in the state Democratic Party. But then the executive committee, led by Belinda Beafor, just drafted their own affirmative action plan and had it approved without input from the affirmative action committee. And it became a huge dust-up. If you follow statewide politics, it was a big deal. I'm not so sure it was that big a deal, to be honest with you, but it was a big deal, and and the proper procedures were not followed. And it sounds to me like maybe they weren't. The problem is this whole thing was on YouTube. It was a Zoom meeting, not an in-person meeting. So it was a Zoom meeting, and it was broadcast on YouTube, and everybody has seen it who cares to see it. And there's just this big dust up in the state Democratic Party. And Hoppy will talk about that with Brad McElhenney coming up today. I plan to do some things on it today. Tried to get a couple of guests to come on, but I didn't have any luck with that. They all were very vocal on social media, but the folks who were upset didn't want to come on this show for whatever reason. So Hoppy will talk about it, though, today with Brad coming up. Also, Senator Manchin. I was going to get into the Manchin thing, and I didn't have a chance to do that today. Senator Manchin will be on with Hoppy, so they will get into that as well. we were talking earlier about going back to church and are people going back into their houses of worship, or are they continuing to worship virtually with Facebook or the internet feeds or TV or radio or what have you? And it prompted a couple of people to text me about how, religion is no good anymore and all this sort of stuff. Probably one of the reasons, an example, Biffy, of why people are down on organized religion is what happened here in the Wheeling-Charleston Diocese for all of those years when Bishop Bransfield was the bishop. I mean, it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Yeah, it's bad enough that the churches were, struggling and attendance wasn't. The numbers weren't, I'm sure, what they had wanted them to be, but and then the big scandal with the Bransfield, and it didn't make anything better. I mean, you talk about taking steps forward and steps back. It set the church back a lot.
And apparently a lot of people, a lot of Catholics across West Virginia are still not able to move past that scandal. Article in the newspaper over the weekend, Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston tries to move forward from Bransfield's scandal, but it takes note that there are still a lot of disenfranchised, disappointed, unhappy members of the laity in West Virginia still feel that Bransfield hasn't paid for his sins, and that the diocese has not been able to put this behind them. My opinion is, as a non-Catholic, but as watching this really very closely, I think Bishop Brennan has done a pretty good job, Biff, of trying to acknowledge the sins of the past, of finding ways to deal with, he's put more transparency into the finances and so on, since Bransfield really just kind of did what he wanted to with the money. So I think Brennan's put some transparency regulations into effect. I think he's really done a good job of trying to move the diocese forward. And I'm not sure that all of those who are unhappy, I don't know that you'll ever make them happy. I mean, it was a terrible, terrible time during Bransfield's era. There are sexual issues, there's financial issues. It's a mess. And no, he hasn't paid for them yet, really. I mean, any significant way. So I get that, but I don't know about you. And you're a Catholic, Biffy. You go to Mass every Sunday. I mean, do you feel that the diocese has or is moving on?
I think they are as best as they can. And for Bishop Brennan, I mean, talk about timing. What a way to start as bishop. And this is your first thing that you have to deal with is the effects and everything from the aftermath of this. But I mean, I think they're they're trying and doing the best they can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any fault that we can put to Bishop Brennan. I think he has brought his personal style is a much more open, collegial style. I mean, Bransfield was, even the people that liked him, I think, had to say he was a dictatorial bishop, right?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
I mean, it was my way or the highway, and I know people who worked with him and for him and around him, and there was just no question about that. He was, I'm the boss, you'll do it my way. Remember, he even referred to Wheeling Hospital as my hospital.
Yeah, I mean, there was no middle ground with Bishop Bransfield. You either liked him or you didn't. That was it.
So I think that Brennan has brought a much more open personal style, which I think has been very helpful. He's done some things like increasing transparency on the finances, which I think are very useful. He has tried to deal with Bransfield the best he can. Bransfield still is basically going, I don't understand why you want me to do anything. I mean, he's either truly stupid or pretending to be. I don't know. But I think we got to let it go. It's time to move on. And I'm not criticizing those, again, read the article in the newspaper over the weekend. I'm not criticizing those who still have some concerns. I get it, and continue to raise your concerns, but it seems to me the diocese has moved forward. My point in the conversation we had, the point of bringing this up in the conversation we had earlier is, it's things like the Bransfield scandal that make people feel that organized religion is off base, has lost its way. And I mentioned earlier, a lot of the televangelists, Biffy, that, want just all they are there for is to get your money so they can get bigger jets. These kinds of things lead people to have a great deal of distrust in organized religion. And all I can say is that's not really religion. They're not really, in my mind, following Christ's teachings. But I guess based on a text I got earlier, I should stop talking about that.
Yeah. if you go by that text.
Nobody cares about church but churches. On the other hand, there are a lot of churches around. 7 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Bob with the show?
Still waiting on Bob.
All right, let me do a quick reminder that coming up on Wednesday of this week, there's a real estate auction put on by our friends, Frio Stack and Associates, Jim Frio and Shane Stack. It is the estate of Jerry Anderson. This is the physical property, 27 Burkham Court in Wheeling, nice neighborhood in Wheeling, right over the S Bridge, if you will, right as you head up to Ogilvie. 3-bedroom, 1-bath house in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, sun porch, half bath, 1,400 square feet of living space, detached 1-car garage. It's going on the auction block, real estate auction. The house itself will go on the block Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you want to take a tour through the house, they'll open it at 4:30 on auction day for inspection. If you want to do it ahead of time, call our friends at Frio Stack and Associates at 233-3168 and schedule an appointment. That's the house itself, the physical real estate. There will also be an online auction only of more of the items in the Anderson estate. For finding out more about that, you can go to frioandstack.com, and look up the online auction. A lot of toys, a lot of collectibles, some furniture there. The bidding on the online auction will close Monday, June 21st. So that's our buddy Jim Frio and Shane Stack, two good guys, and they've got auctions coming up. This Wednesday is the real estate, and then following that, there will be an ongoing online auction up until, when did I say it? June 21st, up until June 21st. All right, 6 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Well, let's see. What can I do here while I'm waiting for Bob Westfall? I'm not going to make a big deal about this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it because it's really just the headline that gets me. The Supreme Court is asked to take up whether male-only military draft registration is sex discrimination. Wouldn't that be by definition sex discrimination? I mean, what's the question? If it is male only, now I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but isn't it? If only males can be part of it, then it's sex discrimination. Supreme Court could disclose as early as today whether it's going to hear a case over whether only men being required to register for the military draft when they turn 18 amounts to sex discrimination. I mean, it is. Now, I guess the point is it illegal to do that? I don't know. Just the headline caught me. Supreme Court asked to take up whether male-only military draft registration is sex registration. Seems to me like it basically is.
Isn't there more important things that the Supreme Court could look at?
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, they're probably going to get that, and I want to know how many of them actually laugh at that. I mean, I'm going to this group probably is a serious group. I don't mean to laugh at them, but the legal action was brought by the National Coalition for Men. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's probably a serious group, and they have a serious issue here, I guess, but the National Coalition for Men have brought the challenge to the law. There's a group that's seriously the group.
That's what it's called. That's the name of the group, the National Coalition for Men, and they're the ones who have brought the group. But the issue here is: should women be required to register for the draft as well, or register for the military? Register for the military. We don't have a draft right now. And it's a legitimate question, I guess. But is it sex discrimination if they don't? Sure it is. I mean, it is, because only men can do it. If only men can do something, or only women can do something, and men are excluded or women are excluded, that is by definition, I think, sex discrimination. All right, just thought I would share that with you since I had a little time to tap dance here.
I mean, that should be something, even if they look at that shouldn't take too long to figure out.
I wouldn't think so either, but we'll see. There are going to be some announcements on that coming up today. Hey, one more real quick thing, and it's just a question. Again, it's a headline that struck me. Article in the Gazette Mail. I'm big on the Gazette Mail. Article in the Gazette Mail over the weekend. Upscale tent camping comes to West Virginia state parks. What the hell is upscale tent camping?
Is that like a fancy homeless shelter that's, I don't know what they would have. I don't know.
I guess it's a tent, pre-prepared tent that these four state parks have, with canvas walls, a queen-size memory foam mattress bed, side tables, propane heaters, and solar showers are all inside the tent. Somehow when I think of going camping, I think of something a little more, mind you, I don't go camping, but I think of something more rustic than that. But upscale tent camping comes. I know I've told the story before. I knew someone once upon a time. I said, "You want to go camping?" They said, "My idea of camping is the Yellowstone Hilton." So, but I guess now you can go upscale tent camping. I don't know what upscale tent camping is, but I guess that's what it is. All right, now I guess it's time to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Kirchhoff's got a good bit coming up on Statewide Talk Line. Senator Manchin's going to join him. Some big stuff with Senator Manchin worth talking about. Brad's going to be in there to talk about this dust-up in the Democratic Party in West Virginia. I'm going to join Hoppy to talk about I did it for Baby Dog over the weekend. So that's all coming up. Statewide Talk Line beginning right after the news, which is next. As for me, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, don't get impeached, don't retire, ticker keeps on ticking. And Teddy says, it's all right. You can go back to work tomorrow, Granddad. I'll be back 7 o'clock when they go around to the big gig. Are you back with me, Biffy?
I'm here for a Tuesday.
We'll keep on doing it till we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
I'm Sherry Preston. As of right now, it's still...
Oh, there we go. That's the story right there. All right, Biffy. God, I hate it when they don't call because I don't know what to do, you know? I mean, I appreciate that they're busy and things happen. I don't get upset about it, but you know, when I've used up all my stuff, or I never know, do I start something else or do I just keep on tap dancing? I don't know. Oh well, it worked out. Squiddy Airy tomorrow and Dave Palmer on fireworks, and I may still try and do something on this Democratic Party problem in West Virginia, but everybody I reached out to blew me off, so I'll have to see what we can do. And see here, Doug Giffen just got a text. Doug Giffen wants to come on to talk about some Amish builders who were picked over the local unions. Okay, all right, we'll get into that too. That's worth. All right, so there we go. A lot of good stuff. So that's what's coming up tomorrow. I'm doing Hoppy. I should be around all day. Teddy's at camp today, so don't have Teddy until afternoon. But if you need me for anything, I'll be around, and just give me a call. Otherwise, talk to you in the morning, and as always, thanks for your help. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Transport is running again.
Vice President Harris is on her first overseas trip to address the influx of migrants into the United States. She is meeting with the presidents of Guatemala and Mexico. And arrests were made in California in last month's road rage shooting that left a 6-year-old boy dead. You're listening to ABC News.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company.